You think getting the promise is the hard part? It's not. Waiting for it is. And if you don't understand what happens in this chapter, then you're going to misread your life. We're in Genesis 21. And after all the waiting, all the doubt, all the mistakes, it finally happened. Sarah gives birth. She was barren, old, way past the point where this should even be possible. And yet, she's holding a child. His name, Isaac, which the name Isaac means laughter, because once they laughed at God. Now they're laughing because of him. This is the line that changes everything. Genesis 21:1. The Lord visited Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did to Sarah as he had promised. Do you hear that? As he said, as he promised. How many times has God said something and you just stopped believing it because it took too long? But here's where it gets uncomfortable, because the promise showing up doesn't fix everything. It exposes everything. Remember Ishmael? Abraham already has a son, not through God's promise, but through human effort, through impatience, through trying to help God, through forcing something before it's time. And now Isaac is here, the real promise. And suddenly there's tension. Sarah sees Ishmael mocking Isaac, and something shifts. Hard. She tells Abraham, cast out the slave woman and her son. That sounds harsh, cold, almost wrong. But this isn't random. This is separation. God tells Abraham, listen to Sarah, because Isaac is the line of the promise, not Ishmael. Do you see it? You can't carry both. You can't live in what God promised while still holding on to what you forced. One of them has to go. And Abraham, he's torn. This is his son. But he obeys. He sends Hagar and Ishmael away into the wilderness with limited water, no clear future. It feels brutal. And this is where people misunderstand God, because you'd expect abandonment. You'd expect silence. You'd expect judgment. But that's not what happens. Hagar runs out of water. She places Ishmael under a bush, walks away because she can't bear to watch him die. And she weeps. This is the bottom. It's rock bottom for her. No options, no control, no strength left. And then God shows up. Genesis 21:17. God heard the voice of the boy. Not Abraham, not Sarah, the boy. God didn't abandon what was outside the promise. He still saw him, still heard him, still responded. He opens Hagar's eyes and she sees a well of water, provision, life, survival, And God makes a promise to Ishmael too. He will become a great nation. Don't miss this. God separates the promise, but he doesn't stop being God to everyone else. And then, another moment. Abraham makes a treaty with Abimelech, the king he had conflict with before. They settle it, peace is established, and Abraham plants a tree and calls on the name of the Lord. Because now, he's not just waiting anymore. So what does this say about you? Are you still trying to force what God never promised? Or worse, are you holding on to something he already told you to release? Because this chapter exposes something in all of us. We don't just struggle to trust God. We struggle to wait for him. Waiting feels like silence. Delay feels like denial. And when it takes too long, what do? Do you trust him? Or do you take control? That's how Ishmael happens. Not because God failed, but because we didn't wait. This chapter reveals God keeps his promises exactly how he said, exactly when he said, but it also reveals something about us. We don't like his timing. We don't trust his process. And we will create alternatives if he doesn't move fast enough for us. And yet, even in our mistakes, God still sees, still hears, still provides, but he will not confuse what we created with what he promised. So where do you fall in this? Are you living in the promise? Or managing the consequences of what you forced? And if God told you to let something go, would you? Because sometimes obedience doesn't feel good. It feels like loss. But on the other side of it is clarity, provision, and the promise finally realized. May the truth set us all free.